Good afternoon, everybody, or evening. I guess in Eastern Standard Time. You never know who's watching this. Somebody could be watching it somewhere far away, and it could be a totally different time. Anyway, this is the 18th part of an 18-part, 9-day virtual interactive performative version of memoir that I'm doing. People have been emailing me their memories, up to 9 memories, one from a different year, from 1922 through 2020, which is a 99-year span. Memoir is my first ongoing work, and I will keep doing it until all 99 books within a 99-year span each have 300 memories in them, or until the year of my 99th birthday, which is 2069, whichever comes first. Ideally, I would like to install this piece in person, like I did the first time. I mounted the 99 books on 99 desks, and people write their memories themselves. But I think this is very effective as well. When I receive people's memories, I've been scribing them on their behalf in the respective books, and then if they've been given me permission to do so, I read their memories out loud. So this is the last part of this iteration of the piece. If I'm not able to present this in its physical, interact yourself way next year or the year after, I will present this virtually this way from my studio again. And maybe that by then I'll be able to afford all of the shelves. So what I do for the virtual version of this is I have all the books out behind me and around me, and it felt pretty good. I just cover things up at night so that the mice don't peep and poop on my books. They make marks. And what else can I say? Thursday, there's gonna be a virtual book celebration for the book I just wrote called 9 Solo Biennials. If you email me, I will send you information about that if you're curious. I'm putting my email address in the chat right now, in case you would like information. I'll send it to you directly. I can talk for another few minutes here if you have a question about anything, the piece itself. Any other questions you might want to ask about anything? How I feel about Bedazzle? Or what else do I like? I don't know. I can answer questions about anything, pretty much. Just write them in the chat and I'll answer them. This part of the performance will start in about 7 minutes. And it's been going really well. What else can I talk about while we sit here? There's an exhibit at Engine, which is in Biddeford, Maine, 163 Main Street. of a new interactive installation of mine called Swap One. That's open on Fridays and Saturdays. And you'll also want to get there before November 21st if you have not picked up your pre-donated toward book. I have them all set up there. Okay. Well, I'm going to start in about 5 minutes. And I like to watch, tonight I'm going to watch some more scary movies. I like to watch scary movies on the month of Halloween. I might watch the original Salem's Lot tonight. That's very exciting. I love that fangy, he's like a fangy bald vampire. When he sits up in the coffin, he's like, and he's got the fangs. He's pretty scary, even today, I think. So, I can tell this is the last day that I'm doing this, because now I'm just being silly. I hope you don't mind. This has been a very good project, though, and I appreciate it very much. So, I'm gonna finish getting set up, and I will start in about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay. I'll begin in about 3 minutes. I'll begin in about 2 minutes.
I'll begin in about 1 minute. (1962) 1962. I would go to the architecture department of the University of Illinois with my father and play with plasticine while he worked. 1957. 1957. I was 4 years old. I remembered dreams and told my mother. In one segment, I was snuggled on her chest and looking out the window at clouds in the sky and the wing of an aircraft. I also told her about watching her ironing in an orange colored room and a cocker spaniel on the bed. She told me that we had flown when I was 6 months old to Denver and that the room I described sounded like the house we had lived in before we moved to Texas. The nature of consciousness can be thought of as levels of memory. There is a latency to all of our awareness, and the process itself puts awareness into the past. Science suggests that each time we remember an event, that event gets re-remembered with any mistakes as the new memory of the event. Memories of memories on which we build our certainties, ourselves, our lives, our world. Fascinating. Two 2020. Two 2020. Early this morning, I took an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper from the box of shelves behind the chair in my study, really a closet. I wrote in the large block crazy slanted letters I love to make, tipping them left and right, overlapping their edges. Show up and move, just move. I know it is everything, but it took me a lifetime to get it. A lifetime till this day, with you to get it. Thank you for showing up so I could. (1978) 1978. It was a chilly fall day when my father succumbed to brain cancer. For my mother, it was both deeply sad, but also after 18 months of relief. He was buried on his birthday, and a friend of his played a trumpet on a hill as he went into the ground. (1965) 1965. Several of us crew members were lounging on the pier next to the East Boston dry dock, where our ship was having some hull damage repaired. Evening was settling in, and we were admiring the city lights of Boston as they began blinking on, reflecting in wavering patterns on the surface of Boston Harbor. Suddenly, all the lights winked off. I and the other guys experienced no great panic, just a sort of, that's interesting. We were, after all, in our early 20s with few real cares or attachments. We could easily wait to learn that most of the Northeast had lost its electrical power, not to get it back for another 12 or 13 hours. '68. 1968. '68. The Kansas City Parks program would take kids on float trips down the Current River. It is a beautiful wild river with a number of large emerald blue springs of fast flowing water. It was where I first truly learned to love a river. 1971. 1971. I was living in Philadelphia, and one of the things that was a tradition in Philadelphia at that time was to go to Wanamaker's, a large, impressive department store, over the holidays. They had an amazing light show which included dancing fountains and Christmas images that flashed on and off with the rhythm of the lights. Adults and children alike loved the show. My music teacher often played the massive organ that accompanied the dancing waters. My best friend and I went when our 4 children were under the age of 5. The trip there, the show itself, all went well when we headed up to the dining room for lunch. There would be treats for the children and rest for our weary feet. The line was long, but as soon as we got into line, the woman taking names and numbers to be seated headed our way. She took us directly to seats. We realized the quickest way to get lunch during hectic holidays is to have several very small children in tow. No one in line complained, and in fact, they looked quite grateful that our group was happy and were likely to stay that way. (1996). 1996. There were massive floods in Maine and a freak fall early snowstorm in Kansas City that toppled trees. That night, my mother in Kansas City had a stroke and was conscious but locked in. The world seemed to have gone mad. 1969. 1969. My new neighborhood was in the midtown part of Kansas City. It was bordered by a freeway, a commercial street, and a park. There were two neighborhood girls across the street. We would sit watching each other from our porches, but not talking. 1983. (1983). I found out as I lived in Ohio from my friend Larry that the store my mother had built, a large architectural salvage company, had a fire. It was devastating, but within a couple of weeks she began it again. 1967. (1967). In Kansas City, I went to school on a bus. White kids from Francis, white kids from St. Francis to the Black parish of Annunciation and vice versa. There were a lot of schoolyard fights, but a lot of friendships forged as well. (2015) 2015. Another summer morning at the shore. I slept on the east side where the early light would wake me before dawn. I got up around 4:55 a.m. and took my camera out for a walk before dawn. Trudging down to the beach, I thought to myself, why do I bother? It's always the same old thing. And then answered myself, you never know. And that morning, I was sure right. It was low tide, totally deserted, and still before sunrise. Suddenly, I realized I was not alone. That standing in the distance in that half light, there was something moving on the sandbar that led out to the silhouetted wooded island. As I moved closer, I saw the deer. Not one, not two, but three. And then they saw me and froze. I knelt down so as not to scare them and aimed my camera, trying not to shake, and quickly banged off 4 quick photos in rapid succession before they spooked and took off and completely disappeared. Gone. I stood up to look, but they were nowhere to be seen. They weren't on the sandbar and they weren't on the beach. They had vanished. Not believing my eyes, I made my way quickly to the spot where they'd been. I was beginning to think I had imagined the whole thing. Then I found their footprints leading into the water. I looked out, but there was no sign of them. Still not sure this had really happened. I decided to take a picture of their hoof prints as evidence. A trio of deer that suddenly disappeared? Come on. I looked into the camera replay to make sure I had the photo of the footprints, and then I saw the pictures of the 3 deer. Wow, just like I said to myself earlier, you never know. In 2020, with my 3-year-old twin grandchildren, I would walk down to the river behind my house. Sometime we would swim, or we would go there simply to toss stones into the rushing water. Each day the river is different. 1963. 1963. At 5 years old, I remember sitting in a tree in the yard. It was early winter, and the tree was a place of my own. Something was wrong, but I did not grasp what. All I knew was my parents were crying.
Thank you, everybody, for participating and watching and listening. Bye.